We're getting our first look at the RTX 50 series partner cards, starting with the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid. Now, the question is, how does it stack up against the Founders Edition, and what kind of person is this GPU the right fit for, and what PC case will this even fit in? Well, we're going to talk about all that right here, right now on Robeytech. But first, a word from our sponsor. With the new NVIDIA RTX 50 series GPUs landing, Falcon Northwest has custom PCs for just about every occasion. Need a powerful desktop? Check out the Talon. How about something more portable? The Tiki is your destination. What about a grab-and-go workstation? The Fragbox can handle that. It even has a handle. And for home theaters, they have the rack. Each Falcon Northwest system has tons of customization options for your needs. If you want some peace of mind to go with your PC, each Falcon Northwest system is rigorously tested, they have in-house tech support, and every system comes with 1 year of their Falcon overnight service to ensure your downtime is as low as possible. So for more information or to order one of these PCs for yourself, head on over to falcon-nw.com today. Every time there's a new GPU launch, there's always a big question on just about everyone's minds. Which GPU should I get? Now, if you're asking this question close to launch, you probably don't get as much of a choice, since the answer to that question is usually what model is even available. So what we wanted to do is, as we start getting different GPU models into the studio, we want to take some time with them, talk about what sets them apart from one another, compare them to the Founders Edition cards or reference cards if we're talking about AMD, and look at questions like, what kind of PC case will this GPU fit inside of? Now, what we won't be talking about in these videos is overclocking potential, and basically it's because the silicon lottery is a very real thing. Even in the same series of GPUs, you can have two identical models that one overclocks like a rock star, while the other is more of a passenger princess. As much as I don't like to admit it, buying a GPU is a lot like buying a $2,000 pack of Pokemon cards. You can end up with a shiny Charizard or a pack of Rattatas. So we can't really tell you that one card is going to be better at overclocking than another, but what we can tell you is what kind of thermal headroom you might have. But remember, in the end, your mileage may vary. With all that in mind, let's talk about today's partner GPU. Like we said in the intro, this is our first look at an RTX 5090 partner card, and it comes from Zotac. This is the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid. It's Zotac's baseline MSRP offering. That is, if you can find it in MSRP. While we did see a $2,000 price tag on this model on January 30th for about 2 seconds, more recent prices have hovered around $2,200. Darn you, tariffs. Now, when you look at comparable models across brands, the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid compares to GPUs like the MSI Ventus 3X, the Asus TUF Gaming, the Gigabyte Windforce, and the PNY RTX 5090s. Each of these models shares some similarities as the respective entry point for each brand. So things like default boost clock that matches the Founders Edition card, but each might have some features that stand out as well. So what features set the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid apart from the pack? Starting from an aesthetic standpoint, Zotac has been known to push the GPU designs in very different territories. In the RTX 40 series, we saw smoother, more rounded edges on their cards. However, in 50 series, Zotac has opted for what feels like an Art Deco vibe, with the solid line with its combination of black and brownish bronze accents and patterns on the backplate of the GPU. This is definitely a bold move from more traditional black and/or white designs, but you know what? We're kind of here for it. And there is a lot of it to be here for because this card is pretty big. With that in mind, the Zotac RTX 5090 Solid is going to need a PC case that can solidly fit a 3.5 slot GPU and have enough space to accommodate its nearly 330mm length. Realistically, you want more than 330mm of space to ensure you can maneuver the GPU inside of your case without interfering with front intake fans or front-mounted AIOs. So when we look at cases that we think would be ideal for the 5090 Solid, PC cases like the Fractal North XL or the Corsair 6500D would give the Solid enough space to live in. Not to mention that those walnut accents on the black version of the North XL or the walnut accent panel of the 6500D would really make this GPU design pop. Or if Fantex ever released their Evolve X2 in black and gold like we saw at Computex, that'd be even better. And if you want to get an idea of how that last idea could look, you should check out our build using the Zotac 5090 Solid in the Evolve X2 right here. Now moving on to cooling, the Solid utilizes Zotac's Ice Storm 3.0 cooling system. This consists of a 100mm fan design, aluminum heatsink, heat pipes, and a vapor chamber that Zotac says is 34% larger than their previous generation. Backing up quick to the fans, Zotac calls these blade link fans. These things have a ring around the outside, which makes them more rigid and help funnel air a whole lot better. As for other special features, the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid has an addressable RGB logo along the side, a reinforced chassis, a dual BIOS for those looking at dabbing in basically overclocking, and a safety light to let system builders know that their GPU's power cable is correctly seated. Finally, inside the box, aside from the GPU itself, the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid comes with a 4 8-pin to 16-pin cable, a Spectra link cable for syncing RGB with your motherboard, a GPU support bracket, and a manual, which most of you are probably not going to read, but I did, Zotac manual writer, I did. Now just a quick note about the power cable, we did notice that it wasn't as malleable as some of the cables we've seen from some more premium GPUs or brightly colored in so that you can make sure it's plugged in all the way. And unfortunately, it's not even as nice as the one that comes with the Founders Edition. However, if you are worried about potential issues, the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid does come with a 3-year warranty. And before you ask any questions in the comments, we did ask Zotac support specifically about electrical issues, and the support agent, Paolo T, assured us is that if an issue is related to your GPU, it's a GPU problem and it's covered. That was a quick get to know the GPU, but how does the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid perform versus the NVIDIA Founders Edition RTX 5090? On average, when we look at gaming performance across 5 games, the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 averaged a little over 1% better raw performance at 1440p than the FE 5090. Okay, now you might be wondering why we're testing at 1440p and not 4K. Well, it comes down to this. 1440p just gives us a better measuring stick that we can compare across GPUs, and it'll also do a better job of showing how much uplift there actually is given we have a higher amount of measurement. So if you had like 55 and 56 in 4K versus 27 and 29 or 35 in 1440p, it makes it a whole lot easier for us to show. So getting back to raw performance, games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 showed the most significant uplift. However, to be clear, this is 2 to 5 frames per second, so it's not wildly different here. We would probably have some issues if it actually was. Now the margin is slightly thinner when we start adding in DLSS into the equation. Here the FE showed better performance in Alan Wake 2 than the Zotac Gaming Solid GPU, but the Solid still stayed in the lead overall. But again, this lead was just under 1% on average. And when we enable DLSS multi-frame generation, the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid showed a solid lead across the board. Well, as solid as a 1.5 average lead can actually be. Here we saw the biggest distinction in performance with games like Cyberpunk and Modern Warfare again. From a power draw perspective, we did see the Solid draw around 8.6% on average over the FE during our gaming benchmarks, but still stayed largely in line with the FE under full GPU load. As for thermal performance, Zotac must be doing something right with their cooling because the Solid averaged 62 degrees Celsius while gaming and 70 degrees Celsius under load. Comparatively, that was around 4.4% under the FE's temps in gaming and around 11.4% under the FE while under full GPU load. But what about noise? Did Zotac's Ice Storm 3.0 system create a flurry of extra noise? Nope. While under load, the Zotac RTX 5090 Solid averaged 66 decibels, which landed at 3 decibels under the FE, which was already pretty quiet to begin with. Not bad. Now that we have a picture of how this GPU performs, let's talk about who this GPU is for. When we look at the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid, this is the GPU for someone looking for a no-fuss RTX 5090. A user that wants all the power that an RTX 5090 offers, but doesn't care as much about the packaging. And just to be clear, that's not to call the Solid an ugly GPU or without perk. The Zotac Gaming Solid has unique visual interest and some RGB branding to match your system if you're into RGB. What's interesting here is that Zotac gives users 2 ways of controlling the GPU accent RGB, either using their Firestorm software or by connecting the Spectra Link cable directly to your motherboard. Aside from aesthetic, the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid delivers some quality of life features like dual BIOS. You've got a safety light for that extra peace of mind, and a cooling system that keeps this GPU frosty. Like we mentioned earlier, at the time of this video, the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid was selling for around $150 above MSRP, which obviously isn't ideal for an MSRP partner card, but the scarcity and tariffs, well, that's it for you. That being said, we did see the Solid OC selling for around $50 more, so if getting an entry-level overclocked GPU is more appealing to you, that will cost you around $50. And just to be clear, the Solid OC's boost clock was around 0.6% above that of the FE's. Not exactly an astronomical leap, but if it's an extra $50 or no RTX 5090, I guess you're gonna have to decide what's good for you. Overall, the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid is a great option for an entry-level RTX 5090. The build quality and features, like its Ice Storm 3.0 cooling system, set this GPU up for success. While we could attribute performance gains and gaming to either margin of error or maybe even silicon lottery, the fact remains that cooling on this card is really good. This means that there is some potential for overclocking if you're the type who likes to dabble. But even if you don't, Zotac makes sure that the 5090 stays pretty chill and quiet. One more note worth mentioning here when it comes to RGB control. Zotac gives users two ways of controlling the GPU accent RGB, either through the Firestone software, which has been updated for this card by the way, or 50 series in general, or by connecting the SpectraLink cable directly to your motherboard. The upside of using the SpectraLink cable is that you won't need an extra piece of software to control it, but the downside is that you have another cable to manage. The header is located next to the power connection. Running it along with your GPU's power cable can keep things nice and neat, but let's be honest, this felt like a really odd place for this port to live. I would have put it on the other side of the card or maybe at the end to help hide the cable better. To back things up just a moment, if you do use the Firestorm software, you can also tweak settings for RGB, fans, and overclocking here as well. And there you have it. That's the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid. Not a bad MSRP card if you can snag one at MSRP. We do want to say a very special thank you to Zotac for sending us a GPU for testing so that we could make this video for you. Getting these cards is not easy. And as always, we want to know what you think about the Zotac Gaming RTX 5090 Solid. What features do you look for in an MSRP level partner GPU? What do you think of Zotac's redesign of their lineup? And what case do you think this GPU would look great in? Let us know down in the comments below. Now while you're down there, make sure you slap that subscribe button, whip that like button, and ring that notification bell so you get a notification each and every time you see a video like this posted either here at Robeytech or over at Robeytech Live. Also, if you want to talk more about GPUs or maybe decide if this is the right one for you or any other GPU, head over to our Discord server, discord.gg/Robeytech. Amazing place to talk to other tech and PC enthusiasts about, whether, this is the right card or anything else. And you know what? You might just make a friend. Also, follow us on all the other socials at Robeytech, absolutely everywhere. Thank you so much for watching this video. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.